major frustration point in Knoxville, Tennessee is that red team from the state down south in the Georgia Bulldogs, a hurdle that Josh Heupel in the Tennessee Volunteers have not been able to get over. Is this the year that they're able to do it? That is the big question as we go into this massive week 3 game for the Volunteers to truly make a statement to me and everybody else out there in college football. And for everybody new around here, my name is Colin Bashnigel, your host here at Bash's College Football Show. And if you look up Bash's CFB Show on TikTok, you're going to find me over there. You're going to see me post a couple of TikToks tonight about these games going on. So I've been kind of quiet on social media lately. It's just been a little bit of a rough couple of days just getting things out and just busy and all that stuff. So we're in the swing of things, and you're going to see videos just coming out consistently through the next, I want to say, 12 hours. Just getting videos pumped out before Saturday starts and hoping to establish a more consistent schedule moving forward. But this game here in Knoxville, Tennessee is massive for one side especially, but it is also the first statement that Georgia really has to make here between getting a little bit of hate. Now, this hate's not necessarily directed by the media because, of course, the media has been kind of ignoring the fact that Georgia has somewhat struggled on offense, and in particular, it's been with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback. He has not been consistent enough. And me over here, look, I have been very high on the prospect of Ryan Puglisi. I don't know how that development's coming along. I'm not an insider over here, obviously, but at some point, you got to find a quarterback that fits what Mike Bobo's trying to do a little bit better than Gunnar Stockton. And Gunnar Stockton has not looked good in the first 2 weeks, and he's got new toys. You know, you've seen development between London Humphreys and Dylan Bell through the last full calendar year, but you also add guys like Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, and Colby Young. This needs to piece together because the talent is there for Gunnar Stockton to really have success, and yet against Marshall and Austin Peay, we have yet to really see that. And we didn't really see it too much from Gunnar Stockton in the SEC Championship. We saw some grit, we saw some toughness, but we did not see consistency specifically as a Mike Bobo style quarterback. Well, whether or not Mike Bobo needs to adjust, it doesn't matter. He's not. So if he's not, we need to see what's going on over here and figure out how to get the most of what Gunnar Stockton is and make Gunnar Stockton as close to a prototypical Georgia Mike Bobo quarterback than what he is. So I don't want to keep on rambling about that, but Gunnar Stockton has to play better. This pass game has to be more dynamic, and it's going to start with that quarterback position. And also, by the way, you have two really good tight ends, really more than two, but the two that stand out is Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp. Use them. Use them. The running backs have gotten going early in the season, though, for Georgia. And it is something that you can kind of hang your hat on as you face a pretty tough defensive front here. I mean, Dominic Bailey is a really, really good player. Arian Carter at linebacker is also going to be a huge help in the run game. But you have seen a little bit of a running back by committee. Obviously, Nate Frazier, the most famous name there, who really broke out as a true freshman last year. But a guy that's really breaking out this year is Chauncey Bowens. And I've heard a lot about him going into the season, and I'm expecting for him to have a nice year. You also got Phillips back there at the running back's position, Cash Jones, the third down running back. They seem to have things a little bit figured out when it comes to the run game and the running back rotation, and we'll see what the offensive line looks like with a major test here. So far, they've passed the test. The issue is they have not faced something like this Tennessee front. In the secondary, now, there is a little bit of a concern. You know, health has been a concern in the secondary, but they still have experience, especially when they're fully healthy. I'm excited to watch this matchup here because I'm curious if Georgia is going to have something up their sleeve and if Gunnar Stockton can elevate to a level needed to have massive offensive success. But when you're talking about this Tennessee offense, they've been very explosive, very exciting to watch, with an element of dominant run game. How are they going to be able to push around a front seven, though, that's going to be headlined by guys like, for example, you got at linebacker C.J. Allen, the big star at that position, Kristen Miller, who's at the defensive tackle, defensive end hybrid position there. And then Jordan Hall is also a really, really spanking good player. I remember Ohio State going after him, and I really wanted him as an Ohio State fan. And Jordan Hall's a really good player. And I think the scariest part about a team like Georgia is they have depth. They can keep those guys fresh, and they do rotate. They rotate a lot, and they aren't scared to play young players. And you've seen that with Elijah Griffin early on this season on that defensive line. And the secondary is as good as they've been in a couple of years. I mean, Daniel Harris, Dalen Everett, KJ Bolden has hyped up of a recruit at safety as we've seen go to Georgia. So all in all, like, you know what the challenge is for the Tennessee offense. Are they actually as good as advertised through the first 8 quarters of this season? Or are they going to be shown to be a little bit fraudulent here? The answer is I just don't know. They've already impressed me, already kind of surprised me with the offensive line's ability to take over a game. And then Joey Aguilar has really impressed me with his ability to capitalize on some opportunities. Now, he's not as consistent as what Tennessee wants. And I don't care what any Tennessee fan says, it was better off in that system with Nico Iamaleava. I think there's a reason why they didn't want him to leave. This wasn't an even trade. I'll put it that way, as simply as I can. When you spell it all out like that, though, you look at what Tennessee's been, and the emergence of Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley has been massive for this team, specifically Braylon Staley. I mean, he just shows some dynamic ability that I think they might have been missing last year, that they were expecting Squirrel White to really take the role of. So I think Braylon Staley is a huge, huge X factor in this game. Replacing 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line, yeah, that's pretty important, and we got to see how they play in their first major test. True freshman David Sanders Jr. at right tackle. How's that going to look? I mean, if you watched the Thursday night football game last night, you saw Josh Connerly, a rookie, very, very much get his lunch stolen from him time and time again on that offensive line against that D-line. Well, that is the college football equivalent to what you're facing with David Sanders Jr. over at right tackle with this Georgia defensive front. And ultimately, I think there is a lot of good to take out of what Tennessee has done the first 2 weeks. I have admitted that they are better than I expected them to be. I am a little bit worried about depth on defense, specifically in the secondary, because when they've had injuries hit this year, number one, I'm not sure how healthy they are. And number two, I have not really been that impressed. Like, I thought Syracuse was able to move the ball at times in that game a little bit too much at ease. And the other thing that I'm just really worried about is how much pressure is going to be in that stadium. Take it from an Ohio State fan. When you feel like you're right there on the brink of it, but you're playing a home game, it can create a very weird atmosphere. And that's what, to me, happened with Ohio State and Michigan last year. You're not even expected to win. You are the underdog, which could put a chip on your shoulder. But if the game does not start off well, if you do not start off on fire, and you don't get that home crowd behind you, what it becomes is a very nervous crowd. And that nervous energy in the stadium, it will go down onto the sideline. And it ends up spiraling into a disastrous night. And that fear that I have for Tennessee, because of the quality that I think Georgia can play with, is why I'm taking the Bulldogs to win. 31-13, pulling away in the fourth quarter. I think this game is close through 3 quarters. I think Georgia pulls away in the fourth quarter. And it ends up dominating from a scoreboard perspective, but I feel like this is going to be a game that the score is not going to indicate how close these teams are. I told you, I think there is a lot of pressure on Tennessee to win this game. They think that Georgia is very gettable, and they think that Georgia, that should be the win if Tennessee is the team that their fans believe. The problem is, I don't know if they're that team, And I think they might be underestimating Georgia. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate you. I will see you in the next video.